Hello everyone, this is Rick and welcome to Astral Club. Today's episode is Controlling the Astral Body. Before we get started, I just want to announce some new patrons of Astral Club. A person is an Astral Master. Seeking One is an Astral Scout. Elisendo Dache Ramos Pachico is an Astral Master. And Summeray is an Astral Scout. I'd like to extend my thanks to each and every one of those wonderful people for choosing to become a patron of Astral Club on Patreon. And while we're talking about Patreon, if you feel drawn to support Astral Club, there will be a link in the description. And when you join, you get a couple of things. Number one, you get the videos early. I send them out on Tuesday or Wednesday. And you can communicate with me directly through the Patreon email with questions and comments and anything else that is on your mind. So look for that link in the description. And once again, thank you to all the Astral Club patrons. Okay, controlling the astral body. Now, when I talk to people who are new to astral projection, especially folks who have just begun the actual astral projection process, it also reminds me of my early days when I was a child astral projecting. I mean, the first big challenge is getting out of your body. And many new people think that once they get out of their body, it's going to be great. I'm going to go do all those things that I've read about in Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe. I'm going to do some of those things that Rick does on Astral Club, and it's just going to be a ball. And unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way because of the second challenge. And the second challenge that one faces when dealing with astral projection is controlling the astral body. Now, you know how I always like to draw comparisons with the physical whenever I'm talking about the astral. The old occult saying, as above, so below. And it's true quite often. Now, how do we walk in the physical? Well, our brain sends signals. You decide that you want to walk across the room. So your brain sends those very particular signals through nerves to your muscles and your bones. And you then get up off your chair if you're sitting and you walk across the room. Pretty simple, isn't it? But remember, and I know most of us don't remember this, but we've certainly seen brothers and sisters and cousins and nephews and nieces when they're learning to walk. Is it simple for them? I mean, toddlers I remember watching my daughter. She had hundreds of trial and error experiences, as do all toddlers, before they finally learn to walk and run in a coordinated and planned way. I mean, if you ever watch a toddler who's just in the learning process, I mean, they'll get up, they'll walk a couple steps, bam, they fall right down. Or they get up and they're looking at you, and you can tell they want to walk towards you, but they end up going off sideways. It's not because their brain is defective or their nerves are defective, or it's just that it is very much a learning process. The brain has to know exactly how to send those signals to those nerves. The nerves have to make sure that they send the precise instructions to the muscles and the bones. And then the muscles and the bones have to understand how to interact to get you to where you want to go in a coordinated way without constantly falling down or heading in the wrong direction. So that's how it works in the physical. So, just because a human is born doesn't mean that he can get up and start running around. The astral is the same situation. When new folks start astral projecting, quite often things do not transpire. They do not move in a way in which they had planned to move. It reminds me of when when I was a kid and I was going through my first astral experiences on a regular basis. And everything that I'm talking about now, I have read and other people have shared with me too in classes and questions and you name it. So it's the same problems. I recall getting out of my body and floating and bobbing on the ceiling and unable to get down to the floor. On other times, I had been stuck to the floor and I couldn't move. Once or twice, I got stuck in a wall. There's been numerous times when I headed the wrong way, or when I was crawling on the floor in my astral body because I couldn't stand up. And there's been other times where I've been walking and it felt like I was walking through molasses. It was so difficult. And those are some of the common experiences that new folks face when they leave their body. So, how do you control the astral body once you have left your physical self? Well, I'm reminded of an old question. I guess you could say it's meta back in the days before there was such words, or a meme back in the days before such a word had taken on its present connotations. But you would walk through New York City and you wanted to get to a certain music hall, and you would say to a New Yorker, "Excuse me, how do I get to Carnegie Hall?" And they would reply, "Practice, practice, practice." Obviously, it's a little bit of a wise, kind of saying to someone who's just trying to get to a music hall. And obviously, what they're saying here is that if you want to get to Carnegie Hall, in other words, if you want to perform at Carnegie Hall, the only way to do so in such a high class venue that requires only the best musicianship is you have to practice constantly for years in order to become good enough to go to a place like Carnegie Hall. The astral body does not have a physical brain to send electrical signals to nerves to then relay those signals to muscles and bones. You're leaving all that behind. So, what does control the astral body? It's will. And if you've been a member of Astral Club for any length of time, you know whenever I answer that question or I write the word will, I always write it in capital letters. I'm not talking will, I'm talking will. If you want to move out of your bedroom, launch yourself to a particular point in the sky, you must put all 100% of your directed will and energy into those singular thoughts. See, the problem is that we multitask in this physical world. We're very different from our ancient ancestors. Our ancient ancestors, if they were going hunting, that's all they thought about. They were on the hunt. They were looking usually for specific animals, looking for specific tracks, following a certain path where they knew or suspected that those animals might be. They weren't wondering about what they were going to do when they got back to the home cave, or they weren't worrying about how they were going to spend their animal skin money. No, they concentrated on one particular activity at a time. And that's what our ancestors did, not just the ancient ones, but today we've got all these wonderful devices. And the word and term multitask pretty much explains exactly how we react. Today, what do? You're watching television, but you're not just watching television. I mean, when I was a kid, that's what we did. But nowadays, if I'm watching television, I'm probably writing down notes for a future Astral Club. I'm looking at my phone. I'm sending a text or two. A wide variety of things. So I've got my mind going in a bunch of different directions. And so does the average person. And that's the problem, you see. Because when you were a toddler and you were learning how to walk, you didn't have all of those thoughts, all those disparate thoughts buzzing through your head. You knew you wanted to walk from where you were to that kitchen or to your mother, to your father. And that's all you thought about. Why? Because that's all you could think about. Because learning to walk takes 100% of everything you have in order to make that happen, to learn how to do that properly in the physical. And it's exactly the same in the astral. When you get out of your body, each activity that you want to do, whether it's getting up off the floor, walking through that door, getting outside, you must only think of that one thought. Do not allow any intruding thoughts, emotions, fears, questions, anything get in your way. How many people have I heard from who say they got out of their body, they were standing there, and then they started looking at a shadow that they thought they saw in the corner, and then they started thinking, oh, is this a problem? They started thinking about all these different things, and before you know it, they get sucked back into their body again, and they accomplish nothing. Which is why I've said repeatedly in my basic technique, which is, once you get out of your body, get the hell out, okay? Don't look around. Just get out, get on your mission. So once you get out, you need to focus your energy completely in standing up, getting out of your bedroom, and getting out of that house. And I recommend you fly quickly, which is find a particular spot in the sky. Know that that is the only spot in the sky that you can possibly go to. All other alternatives are shut out. You're not even thinking about them because that is the only spot that you can possibly go to. And then project yourself to that particular spot. Now, how do we prepare ourselves? How can we refine our will in this world that is filled with our typical multitask, phones ringing, various jobs, texting while writing, while watching TV? How can we perfect the skill of that type of concentration of will? Well, the first way is, once again, practice, practice, practice. You can give all the instruction you want to a toddler, but if he's going to learn how to work, he's going to have to practice, practice, and practice. He's going to have to do trial and error. And every time you project, you'll get a little bit better. There's no replacing actual astral projection. However, during meditation, I find you can learn to focus your mind. You can learn to clear it of all the detritus, all of the extraneous thoughts and worries and fears that are constantly running about the average, at least Western person's mind. And then, before you start the meditation process, select simple objects to start with. For instance, a single white candle with a flame. How long can you concentrate with the picture in your mind of a single white candle with a flame without allowing any other thoughts to intrude? Now, I think you'll find if you're an experienced meditation individual that you'll have an easier time of this than others. If you're just someone who's starting out in meditation, you'll find that your ability to keep your mind on, say, that lit white candle alone in the darkness, that you won't be able to hold it in your mind without intruding thoughts for no more than a few seconds. But just like that toddler who's practicing, you will find that the more you meditate, the more you will, the longer you'll be able to hold a particular image like that candle in your mind before any other thoughts intrude. And for people who ask me for some sort of an exercise that they can do to help supplement astral projection experience, that is the best one that I can offer. Now, of course, in this whole process, we all have to remember that it's extremely important that once you do astral project, that you get as far away from your physical body as possible. I know I've said that many times. I will say that many more times because I have heard way too many folks who they've been successful and then they fail right at the end because they get sucked back into their body. So please never forget that. But I believe that this particular exercise will allow you to accomplish controlling the astral body. And what also helps is ahead of time. And I know sometimes this isn't going to happen, but see if you have some sort of plan ahead of time. If you're a new projector, please don't get too grandiose, okay? Keep in mind that before I started traveling in space and going to strange planets or outside our galaxy, I logged hundreds and hundreds of astral projections that were much more modest than that. Now, I'm not saying there's who knows what you can accomplish out there, but please don't set your sights way too high. I mean, a toddler just learning how to walk, and he took his first couple steps and didn't fall over, should not enter himself in the Boston Marathon. That's all I'm saying, is set yourself modest goals. Even if it's just getting out of your body, getting outside, launching yourself in the sky, and flying around your city. That is a very successful beginning astral projection. So please understand that. Okay. Yes, one day you'll be able to travel in time and have some of these interesting experiences that I've had. But, like I said, I've logged quite a bit of miles out there before I got to some of the more interesting projections. Okay, well, that is this week's episode and controlling the astral body, and I hope that it will help some folks to take advantage of their projections and not have them end early and unsuccessfully once they get out. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Share it with those of like minds. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I know most of you have, but if you have subscribed, why don't you hit that bell button and you'll always get notified when there's new videos. And keep those questions and comments coming. I love them, and you know that they will become part of future question and answer episodes. So you'll be able to help everyone who's a member of Astral Club learn from your triumphs and your failures and your questions as well. As always, I'm Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.